Hello, everyone, and welcome to our circle and Salve Women. For today, we are going to be discussing my article, To Be Given Part in One's Journey. And, it's interesting because you look back at all those who have really partaken in your life and those that were inadvertently an influence to you, whether it was something that you realized was something that you shouldn't be or should be, or that you should have listened to or should not have listened to. And everything in life is just that reflection. So me being a teacher, and definitely me being as a parent, I've always prayed that whatever that comes out of my mouth is something that was meant to be. I still remember, in my first few years of being a parent and going into another room and then, praying about my words and is this the direction that you'd like me to take? Is this the type of attitude or energy that I should be exhibiting? And my heart would always say, yes, this is it. And it's interesting because it's not always the soft-kinded, loving mother that you think everyone should be at every given point. And when I look back, those who have really gotten me to where I'm at, again, inadvertently may have really taken on a more direct path, a direct approach in helping me grow. And I'm grateful for that now, but it's not always easy knowing if you are going to be that positive impact. And so as a teacher, every time that I'm a middle school teacher, so, it was difficult for me to really understand that what I was going through as a middle school child. I realized that, in just like my article, when I say I've been trained for this moment, everything that you go through, you realize that you really can see yourself in the eyes of a child. And it's interesting because you're always constantly looking and seeing that they're going in a direction that you wish they would not forgo or that they would not follow, and you want to stop, right? You want them to stop and think about it. And yet you realize that sometimes people are going to choose whatever path that they want to take, no matter how many times you say don't go that path. I mean, I have students who say, oh, you're right, and then all of a sudden they don't, they maybe forget, like in 5 minutes ago, again, this is middle school, or they'll do it again, and it gets to a point where then you start to question, is this now a form of disrespect because I've redirected, I've asked, and yet you have not followed through to a consistent level where we don't have to worry about this again. And it's always that try, it's always that effort on both ends. And when it comes to children, you were once one. And so for me, it's now that I see myself having grown so much from it, it's just this piece that is always aching, that is always watchful. It's almost to that level of hypervigilance where you're thinking to yourself, what's going on? What are people doing? And how are they thinking? And are they doing okay? Are they learning? Put away that phone. I mean, there are things that you are really saying to yourself because you just know, what, as I've said in class, I get it. Sometimes we want to rebel. It's just that power within us to go, I want to do the opposite of what you're telling me to, or what you think I should be doing. We get that because that's within our power. We do that as adults. We do that no matter what time of day, and at night or whatever it may be. If you're feeling like you got to get yourself a bowl of ice cream in the middle of the night, you're going to do it, even though you're not supposed to. And that's just within us to say, I have control over me. That's the hardest part as a teacher, as a parent, is when you see something that children are going through, you want to essentially take away that growing pain, that growing worry, that growing anxiety. And you want to let them know that, life isn't so bad, but you are just in this moment. And what you may think is just really a wreckage for life could just be something that is a stumble, is just a little milestone that you have to cross over. And when you get to the other side, you're going to look back and go, man, that wasn't really, a big deal at all. And it's just like working out. right? You know, you're starting off with 3 pounds and then 5 pounds, and next thing you know, you're like, that's not so bad. But then you also learn where you are most comfortable, and so that you can start to train and develop this habit in your lifestyle where you just know where you have to maintain that sanity, where you have to realize that what you're doing for yourself when you start to carry too much weight could be too much for you. And I see that where we become habituated to really start to carry some loads to a point, then all of a sudden when it gets unloaded, you think you got to carry some more. And you don't take in the moment to bring in that sense of peace and just go, I like this. I like not having to worry. I like not having anything that's overwhelming me at this point. But it's almost as if some of us are accustomed to thinking that the worries, the burdens, the drama defines us. And, you know, having come from seeing that throughout my life, I realized that you don't. That's not your sell. That's not what you're trying to sell to other people just so that you could take their time. And I realized that with my students, you know, as I've said in the past, real drama doesn't talk. They don't really talk about what's going on in their head, because if they divulge of it out in the open, it's something that they don't even want to acknowledge. It's something that you just want to just get over with and just skip through. And, you know, knowing that you still have to go through it, but in your mind, mentally and emotionally, your heart, mind, body, and spirit, you're really just trying to get over it so that you can get over that milestone then and move on, and then get to where you want to be and get to where you need to go without all of this stuff that's happening at this time. And so as I have an article that's, you know, relax, breathe, let go, the RBL. I've told myself that so many times in life, because when you just run into issues where you know it's it's not within your control, the sanity piece is accepting that. And, you know, it's easier said than done, we know. And we know that there are days where you just go, I'm just going to be all about this worry. I'm just going to let it suck me in, and I'm just going to be within it, the overwhelming feeling of it all. And then all of a sudden you get too heavy, and then you're like, why am I allowing this to take me down? And then hopefully, you know, when you do get out of it, you go, whoa, maybe I just wanted to wallow in it for a while. And so is there really truly a piece in me that likes to worry, that likes to be a part of any darkness, so that then I can speak of it, so that I can be about it, that I could be within it, you know? And so when I see the students and I see that their eyes are worried, and or my children for that matter, sometimes you know that they have to work it through themselves, because that inner strength inside is the only one that can really undo any knots, any burdens. And no matter what you give them, the only thing that you can do is hopefully words of wisdom that come out of your mouth that would be the right words. And that's all you can do, and to be the spectator of other people's lives, and knowing that you do have a part in their journey, and you just hope to say the right words. I know I have not always, and I know that it was taken wrong, but then I always say to myself, I don't take back. I'm not going to sit here and apologize for the things I say, because even though I didn't feel like that was what was supposed to be said, I also know that in looking back, and I'm sure many agree to this, and I pray that people agree to this, that when you look back, it was exactly what a person needed to hear. And it's not always the nicest, it's not always the kindest, it's not always the most soothing words. And, you know, you're always hoping that the words, the delivery does come out in the way that they would take it, that you are being supported, that you do believe in them, and that you are having some empathy. And yet the empathy could come out just by simple, get over it, you know, move on, you'll be fine, get up, and just keep going. You know, those type of things, instead of like sitting there and taking another day or two to take it in. It's like that's a day or two that you could have used up already having moved on. And I've learned that. I've learned to really come into terms that just, yes, pain is real. Yes, tragedies do happen. And no, you would never want to know out there what could be worse. My husband and I always say that, something could be worse. Life could be worse. And we always think that even though your life is not going in the way that you imagine, then you realize someone out there is having a much tougher life. And I don't know if I would be able to endure what they're going through. And so therefore, I'm going to sit here and realize that I have the power within me to get over this and then move on and work towards betterment, because obviously I have not been put in this position to think that I can't get over it. This is definitely something that I can, and I just have to say to myself, do everything it takes to just keep moving forward. Whether you're falling forward, you're running forward, or just stumbling forward, you're going to get to a step ahead, and then another step ahead, another step ahead, and you could be a tumbleweed. Let's just hope that the tumbleweed is going in one direction and not being aimless about it, so that then when it crosses the road, it's on the other side. So that's really truly the message that I have for this one, is when you're a part of someone's journey, it's difficult to always know what to say or what to do. But I'm always thankful that when I look back, I've really looked and saw that there are things that I'm so grateful, as I share with my students, my middle school teacher and Mrs. Hunley, and my aunt in the Philippines, who was also a middle school teacher. They planted their personalities, or the way that they carry themselves, their persona as a middle school teacher. And I realized that who I am today has a lot to do with who they were. And it's not always what they said, it's just how they carried themselves. And that goes into that strength of people trying to take you down, and the world trying to take you down, and so many things that people have already made up their minds as to what they think of you, to try and really burden you as to what they believe can put you at a heaviness. And yet you have to be that light. And I'm so grateful that I understand this now, that truly all the many hardships that I've gone through, and again, life could be worse, right? But I'm grateful to really have had many experiences, whether as a child, as a teenager, a young adult, as a parent, as a teacher, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, to the best of my abilities. And realizing, daughter, sister, however you want to look at it, and aunt. I mean, any roles that you take on to live life, you realize that every one of those was a learning lesson of what to be in the near future, how to be in the near future, and how to address things in the near future so that you do it better. And so truly that's my message, is all you can really do is teach others to let go of what you cannot control. And that is the piece of strength that you have in you. No, you're not always going to say the right things. No, you're not always going to do the right things. But in prayer, you know that it is beyond you to truly understand what the message had to be, so that a lesson had to be learned. Because in your care, in that moment, in your role, you were placed in that situation to give what you had to give to get that person to be ahead in life. And that's really, truly the message there, is that strength of togetherness, of just making sure that everybody is doing life, and all you can do is partake in it, and hope that as long as you're in the light that you are caring, that you're doing your part to always pass on the light and not any darkness. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. Thank you for listening. And message today is help others out there, and to really understand that what you can't control is something you just have to breathe and relax about and let go, and just let it work through, because things will always get better as long as you keep moving towards the future and moving towards the light and being about the light. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.